Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, or whatever the time of the day or night is that you're tuning into this very special first report with New Zealand First. I'm Clayton Mitchell, the spokesperson for small and medium-sized businesses, labour and industrial relations and employment, and I'm also our party whip, and I've had the great pleasure of sitting in the House today as the wellbeing budget has been unfolded. Despite some of the perniciousness of the opposition trying to sneak a peek and send out information prior to the budget coming forward, it certainly hasn't overshadowed a great budget. And I'd just like to acknowledge the coalition partnership that has been working collegially and collaboratively to produce this magnificent budget, the likes that this country has never seen before. We've had a $111 billion spend, $9 billion more than what we spent last year, and in areas that this country hasn't seen money being spent on to this level in a very, very long time. We've had $1.9 billion put into mental health, $1.1 billion into child welfare, $1 billion, a little bit over that actually, going into regenerating a very important infrastructure known as rail to try and get some of those big heavy trucks to try and free up some of our roads, get those trucks off our roads and using our rail system, because over a very long period of time our rail has really been neglected by previous governments. This government is absolutely determined to get our rail back up to a first world standard. And of course we've had $1.2 billion committed to classrooms, looking after our kids, the most vulnerable people, that making sure that they've got the right levers, the right education pathways that they can actually get themselves into meaningful employment. But there are a number of very exciting over and above that announcements that have been made today. We've had $197 million going into vocational education, designed specifically to help young people get into the right set of skills for the right job settings that they need. Now that is money that is very, very well spent. When we're out there talking to the private sector, they are struggling to find the young people with the necessary skills to fill the jobs that they need, and so this is going to go a long way for them and also for those young people. On that, secondly, we've had $300 million, which was a real surprise to the private sector, for the investment into venture capital. There seems to be a big gap in the mid-sized businesses transitioning from science and innovation, trying to ignite those businesses to go forward, and this government has put $300 million into this budget to ensure that they get the right support and funding to enable them to move forward. They'll be working quite closely with the Callaghan Innovation Fund, but this, I think, will be seen internationally as a very, very positive move, and we hope that it will excite international markets to come down here, bring their innovation, bring their investments in here, invest into New Zealand. We can certainly attract a high standard of intellectual beings to New Zealand, because this is a great place to work, live and play, and we certainly want to be that attractive space. As we move on, I think another great announcement that we've seen today is the trial that was put through last year in the budget, where we had 150 young people not in employment, training or education, they're called NEETs, who were disenfranchised, had no pathways to get into employment, and we put some money aside in last year's budget. Now that has just been exploded this year. Now we're up to $49.9 million going into mana and mahi, which is power and work, and we think that that is absolutely fantastic. We've taken those 150 placements and blown that out to 2,000 young people that this is going to be open and available to, with the idea that that is going to grow to 4,000. Now, that is fantastic for businesses, because they will be incentivized to take on these young people not in employment, education or training, but it will also help upskill those people in trade training programs and giving them certifications in areas that we need them to. Now, that is a very, very good announcement, something that we're very, very proud to be part of, and great that this coalition government is working collaboratively together to make sure that we're delivering for all New Zealanders, both public and private, and business and in individuals, and looking after those most vulnerable people. Just to finish off, we've had some great announcement also with the $21 million that New Zealand First has gone out specifically to ensure that St John Ambulance has got the right cover support for them. They are a hand-to-mouth organisation relying heavily on support through charitable trusts and organisations and people's time and effort. So that $21 million will go a long way, and we'd certainly like to be looking at supporting them greater in the future. And the $7.7 million on bolstering up our super gold card, making it a super smart gold card for our ageing population. So all in all, a very, very exciting budget. I'm looking forward to hearing what other people have got to say, but initial reports from people such as Business New Zealand, EMA, and of course the media reports are very positive so far. So tune in for next week and we will discuss this in greater detail. Thanks. Good night.